I have my elderflower tea, which is my new favorite tea. And in here are things I've picked up. So I love to pick up pine cones, and there's some really beautiful, really deep brown blacks in there. And this one has a little bit a lighter, more umber. And I found all these leaves. So I'm gonna just kind of pull these things out. These leaves are so beautiful. And they were really wet when I picked them up. And I just set them on my table and just let them curl up, which I love it because they have kind of a sculptural look to it. And even this one that's falling apart. So what I like about this red, because I don't really use a lot of red, I usually use burnt sienna, is that it's a deep kind of garnet color, and I love that color. And then I found this one, which I like, the ochre. And then, so I started with this. Oh, and this is a little bit brighter, if you like brighter colors. This is off my burning bush in the back, and it will eventually get to be a really dark red. It has these little bright, kind of cadmium red berries on there that all the little birds are eating right now. So you can see where it's starting to change. And I just think it's a really beautiful, this is a great way to establish a color palette. And the stems are still green, but it's a good source of inspiration. So I'll put that over here. So let's see what else. And then I picked up, there are so many acorns. They're just all over the sidewalk. It's crazy. And all the squirrels are going crazy. They're gonna be super fat this fall. And then I took one of my dried flowers, because this is one of the last dahlias from my bush. And so that's kind of very fall-like to me. And then I took the stem and kind of cut it up and was kind of studying this kind of green gold color. And so I started looking at the colors, and there's this kind of, it looks more like a alizarin crimson, and I might shade it a little bit. So I pulled out some other things. Like I had this, I like the earthy pink, so I want to try and mix this color up using this as my inspiration. And then I have this beautiful kind of raw sienna ribbon. So I pulled these things out, and I had some pigment that is very fall-like. Let me put these over here so you can see them all. And then I have my favorite pastel, this beautiful garnet red. So we're gonna make a color palette first. So let me just put some things back in so I can keep it all in the camera frame and look at our colors. And you can, if you're working on developing a color palette, look around, like in your pantry, look at your spices. Like I was thinking of pulling some cinnamon out and some cloves and things that are kind of inspire you to think about fall. Not chocolate, it's more wintry. Okay, so let me get my brushes, and I have a little palette here. Let's move this over. All right, and Millie's like right under my feet. All right. So I'm going to start, all right, some water here. So I pulled out some colors that I think work with it. And let me just pull these all out so you can see. And I'm gonna build a color palette based off of fall. So I'm gonna start with the yellow ochre. Now, if you're a person who really loves bright, vivid colors, then there are bright gold leaves that are in the fall. There's bright green. So you can just take this inspiration and push it towards the colors you love. That's raw sienna, and then I have burnt sienna, which I use quite a bit. It's kind of a cinnamony color. All right, doing okay. Let me look at everything is looking okay. And then I want to put in, that's Painsbury raw umber. So I'll put a little raw umber here. Raw umber is a great color to neutralize brighter colors than Payne's Gray. So these are all watercolors, just in case you were wondering. Daniel Smith watercolors. I bought them at the beginning of the summer. And then this is a really beautiful gray. It's called Alvaro Caliente Gray. And it's very beautiful. And it mixes very well and kind of deepens black. And I have to find a place. Am I still going? Something weird happened on my computer. Okay, it looked like it stopped. Can you hear me still? What's happening? I don't know why it ended. Something weird is happening on Facebook. Can you hear me? Just give me a thumbs up. Yes, I see thumbs up. Okay, I don't see it on my computer. It just had a big, like, this video is ended. So hopefully this is all being recorded. And then I have an olive green. I'm running out of room. Let's see, I'll just put it right here off to the, because you know, I love olive green. And it's very fall-like. Okay, so now I have this alizarin crimson. So I'm gonna put it down here because I do wanna make a deep red. Let me show you how I'm gonna do that. All right, so, excuse me, Millie. I have some watercolor paper here, and I'm going to start with the yellow ochre raw sienna. And if I look at this, there's a lot of browns in it because the leaf is fading. So I'm just going to load my brush and I'm going to start with the warm colors first, yellows. All right, and then I'm going to take the raw sienna. And the other thing I like to do is to take a little raw sienna and mix it in with the yellow ochre. And it's a nice color, it's a little richer yellow ochre. Okay, so this is a very warm palette. Here's the burnt sienna. Okay, and then I'll take my brush, and I just want to, my pen, and okay. Just want to double check. So can someone give me a thumbs up and make sure I don't want to, is everything okay? Because it still says this on my computer. I don't know what's happening. The video stopped. Okay, good, thank you. All right, so I'm just gonna go through and just write on here. Okay, so now I have this warm palette. So I'll move that over to the side. You can just take this and keep it while you're working on different pieces of art or in your journal. Okay, so now I'm going to take, I guess I could, you know what? I'm gonna put this here. It just seems to fit better, the raw umber. Mix a little of that in there too. All right, so I have raw umber and then I mixed a little burnt sienna in it, so. Which gives it that, you know, kind of like that acorn color, which is pretty. So this is a way to kind of play and mix with these, with your colors. And you can do this in acrylics too, of course. All right, so now I am going to pull in this beautiful Payne's Gray, which is very moody blue, the sky in the evening in the fall. And then I have the gray. I want you to see this color. It's very dark. It's almost like a black. Now I'm going to mix the two. But the Payne's Gray, I'm going to bring in a little bit of that, and it just gives me another, it's very beautiful, another tone, which I love that. So it's more of a blue-gray. All right, and then let's just bring in this beautiful olive green. And I can even mix in a little blue with that if I wanted to. So now I have this, the Payne's Gray. and the, what's it called again? Alvaro's Caliente. Alvaro's Caliente. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Gray. And then this is Payne's Gray plus the gray. And then green gold. I mean olive green. Olive green. Okay. All right, so now I have these two, so I can work within this and then maybe bring one color in, or the browns. The browns, you know, the umber mix is really beautiful with those grays as well and just kind of makes them a richer color. So now I'm going to try and achieve this garnet red. So when I look at these leaves here, they, like the very tips on, they're turning black here. Except for this one, like the inside of it's a lot paler. And I pulled out that pigment that just kind of goes with it, I think. Here's one here, this little crumpled up one where it's really turning black. So I'm gonna try and find this color here. So I'm gonna turn this around. I'm gonna just mop up a little bit of this. So my green and, all right, so I don't want the straight alizarin crimson, but if you like that bright red and it's in the burning bush that I showed you, it's very much that color. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit of that gray to it and to deepen it. Now I may have gone too far. Let's just get it nice and mixed up. Oh, that's really pretty. So now I have that gorgeous garnet. It's really beautiful. Okay, so now I want to make it a little, I want to try and find an earthier version of it as well, because I like this kind of earthy pink color. So let's see if I can do that. I'm going to pull a little over here and take a little bit of brown and put the brown in it, and then put a lot of water in it. I've got to move the green or it's going to be a disaster. All right, and then I'm going to take a little yellow ochre to give it that. Let's see how it looks. Oh, that's pretty good. But look at that inside of that leaf, that's pretty good. So that yellow, the brown, so you could just play with this mixture and make it more of a brown pink. I think that's pretty. Okay, so now I'm gonna remember this. So this is alizarin crimson plus gray, and then alizarin crimson plus gray, plus raw umber, plus yellow ochre, and a lot of water, okay? So now I have this really beautiful palette. I think this is really rich. It brings in that feeling of fall to it, and just a little splatter there just to make it exciting. All right. Okay, so this would be a gorgeous, you know, maybe bring in a tiny bit of green, but I really like how this looks right here. Or I can make it like this. So I have these three palettes, and when you're separating your colors like that, I think helps. And you can bring in other materials. And yeah, I have pigments here, but I would need to mix those with, I just pulled them out for inspiration to try and match this color here, which I came pretty close. And push it in there. It's actually kind of pretty. I have to remember that. I better write that down, plus the pigment. I don't remember the name of this. I'll look and see if I can try and find it. I think I still have the container. Okay, I like what that did to it, and then I could probably lighten it. Now, if you want to go opaque, you can add like a white acrylic or a white gesso if you want to bring that element to your color palette. All right, so that is that, and let me put this aside. And me just hit refresh on my computer just to see if anything's coming up. I'm very wacky this morning with this. So let's see if you have any questions. Oh, there I am. Okay, no. Oh, there I am. Okay, let's see. Yes, Daniel Smith has very beautiful colors. So what I would do is after this dries, I would just punch a hole in it and, you know, maybe put the 3 of them together. I made this little tag this morning with some ink and just have this fall palette. And I can keep this, put them all together, make notes on them. And then I know when I go to create something that I want to use this palette, it's already there. And I can build from here too. I can mix my burnt sienna with the Payne's gray and get a really deep, almost purpley gray. It's very beautiful when you mix those together. But I love how this turned out, and I love these gray blues, and I always love green. Okay, so I'm gonna move this aside. And let me show you what I was playing with here. All right, so as you know, I like to draw. I think drawing and just spending a little bit of time drawing is just really good for your soul, and it's also helps you develop your ideas and your marks and your line work. So I'm just gonna do a little sketching, and I'm kind of going with the idea of almost like a contour sketch. So I'll show you what I've done so far. Put these back in here. So I have that kind of wonky paper, the gold paper. So I was playing around with it and moving charcoal around and just turning leaves. And I did a bigger one this week too with the charcoal. So I just have a piece of sketch paper, and it's over here. So I think I'll start with, where's a big leaf? Let's start with this big leaf. So I have my, this together here. All right. All right. I got everything organized. All right. So I'm just going to start at the stem and just kind of follow the line, and then I'm just going to go around it kind of like a contour drawing, but I'm not going to be true to a contour, but it's more like a loose sketch, and I kind of combine the sketching with the contour. So I'll just kind of start down here. I'm holding my charcoal pencil. I'm using a 4B, so it's very soft, and just following it up. And there is, when we look at it, there's that vein that goes straight up. So I want to try and capture that line. So it's gives me a little line there. And then I'm just going to follow the outside of it. And I'm not trying to make it exact. I just want to loosen up and improve my observation skills for whatever I want to draw. And, you know, I'm looking at like the negative space in between, you know, these little jagged edges, like a little curl in the leaf. And then the kind of curled over here. So I'm going to go on the outside first here and kind of shape that area, and then I'll go back in and find that overlapping where it's curling in on itself, which I love how that looks. And then there's a little curve there. Okay, and then this goes up, and I'm not quite right, but that's okay. I'm not erasing at all. I'm gonna retrace. So now I have a peel and sketch, and I'm just gonna kind of go over some parts of it and add a little bit more. Kind of retrace the lines in some places. Okay. And then I'm just gonna rub over it. Just kind of soften it And then I can go back over it again, and I have this little chunk of charcoal, and I'm going to go on the edge and just add some more line work. And when you do things like this, like push your hand through the charcoal and just become like, have this conversation, if you will, with your subject, and it becomes less precious and you can loosen up more. Because I just want the idea of it. I don't need it to be exactly. And that's what I've discovered about myself in drawing, that if I spend, you know, weeks on a drawing, I can create something fairly realistic. But I find that I enjoy drawing looser. Okay, so there's one. Let's look at this little wonky curly one here. All right, so, and I'm not gonna worry about placement or composition, and I'll just put it over here. It's this nice little bend here. This one's a little bit more complicated. As I start drawing it, it's like, wow, it's got this like little swoop happening here. And then this kind of goes back here. And it goes up. And then let's bring this around here. There we go. And then this. There's kind of a teardrop shape in there. I have to try and grab that if I can. And then here. All right, it's close, but all right. Let's just give a little bit of variation with these little curly bits here. Okay, where's my little chunky charcoal? Okay, well, there we go. There's a couple leaves. Why don't I just do one more? Let's find, how about this one? This one has got a really cool shape to it. All right, so I'm gonna start down here so you can see it. So you can take your color palette and draw your leaves and then paint them. I'm gonna go above this, overlap it. It's good practice. You know, I don't mind it. I always like to look at where it connects on the stem, and if I need to rework my line, I find that really beautiful, just that searching line. Okay, all right, so there's some leaves in our color palette, and it was all so fun, and it's very fall-like. So I just used some charcoal and my mechanical pencil. Maybe I'll just go through and put a couple more little fine lines in there. Okay, all right, I'm gonna turn it around and see if anyone has any questions. So I hope you have a great weekend, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Get out, take a walk, enjoy the fall if you have fall where you are, and I love you guys. All right, see you next week. Bye.